What's up, everybody? I'm Jim with Straight Blast Pythons, and welcome back to the channel. So we're doing things just a little bit different today. This is going to be the next installment of my Morph Mindset series of videos where we're talking about a specific gene in the ball python hobby. My last video that I put out, and yes, I know it's been a couple of weeks, I put out a request seeing if anybody would be interested in actually joining me on one of these and talking about just a gene, really something they wanted to champion. And Zach from Zeus's Serpents did reach out to me wanting to talk about the Axanthic gene, so he is going to be joining us here today. Now, before I actually switch over to our conversation, I just want to point out we are not talking about any one specific line of Axanthic. He and I both have VPI in our collection, but since most concepts when it comes to Axanthic can apply universally from line to line, we kind of figured this is just going to be an overall discussion, and it would be a good gene to talk about given the recent news that came out about several lines being compatible or potentially the same. So without further ado, here's Zach, and let's jump right into this. All right then, Zach, you want to go ahead and give a quick elevator pitch, just kind of introduce yourself, who you are, what you're working, stuff like that. Floor is yours.
Yeah, my name's Zach. Sometimes I go by Zachary. Zeus's Serpents out of Ward, Arkansas. Originally from Iowa, so I kind of make my rounds back and forth through the area. Just getting into this hobby. I'm a COVID breeder. I'm not afraid to say it either, This is going into my third year breeding. My first year was cut a little bit short by a deployment, and then somebody that I thought could be watching my reptiles, and nothing to them, I guess, but just lost out on that first year. Got in really heavy this last year. Made some super sick combos, and then this year we're gonna take it up another notch. So the future is everything. Recessive all the way. I love my recessive projects, which is another one we're going to talk about. I got a lot of them working here, but we're going to focus on the Axanthic stuff today, and where I want to take any of that stuff too. So it should be fun.
All right, awesome. So you were the one who picked Axanthic, and I think that's a good one to go into, especially with the news that we've got recently, a couple of the different lines, being the same. So just out of curiosity, why Axanthic? Why is that the one you want to champion, and what are you doing with it?
So the reason I chose Axanthic is it just stands out. Even back when I was starting to get into the hobby, you look at JDC up in Cedar Rapids, which, I'm an Iowa guy, so that was one of the first people I looked into.
Right.
He works the TSK line, I work the VPI line. So I've talked to and have a few friends that work TSK, and I work my VPI. I have my VPI friends as well. So it really just depends on your preference. I definitely like the TSK in some projects. I'm really interested to see where this black Axanthic and this dark phase, I guess, go here in the next few years. I'm just not sold on the TSK though. I need to see it in more double recessive combos.
So a question about that really quick, since you mentioned the dark Axanthic. I was actually just listening to something earlier today, or sorry, the dark phase of the TSK, and a couple people were posing the theory that the dark phase TSK was actually just black Axanthic. Do you think that might be the case there, or are you thinking that that's still just an anomaly within there?
I honestly, man, so I have a good friend of mine. Her name is Lauren with Multiplayer Morphs up in Pennsylvania. And she has a dark phase TSK female. Now she has a male just TSK Axanthic as well, and it's definite. Like, you can definitely see there's a difference, and obviously there's some different codoms that play in both of those snakes, but it doesn't even look like the same gene. So I mean, it could be a polymorphism thing to where it just kind of is what it is, and or it's a certain lineage of it, with the line breeding. I mean, even if you look at Ozzy, he's got the orange dream stuff, but he's just got the pop. So Personally, I think that it is a separate mutation. I don't think TSK and the black Axanthic or the dark phase, I don't think they're the same. I think that there could be something in that DNA that is close, I guess. But I mean, it could be something just like a clown or a cryptic too, where you pair the right lineage together, and you hit that visual. So
Yeah, just sitting on the same allele in the complex
yep,
there.
exactly. And it's just gonna take more time to work with everything. So I love the dark phase. I'm not huge on just the regular TSK. But I wouldn't mind getting my hands on some dark phase in the future.
Well, you
So
said you're working mostly the VPI stuff. So am I. And the little bit that I have is VPI. Uh, where are you going with it? Before we start talking into theory crafting ideas, what are you doing with it?
oh man, I'm going everywhere with it, to be honest. Last year I produced a pastel spot nose leopard Axanthic. So if it was a clown, it would be the pastel Batman. But it is an Axanthic, and she's a showstopper, man. Like, she was my very first egg that I actually got to cut open myself. So I couldn't ask for a better first egg.
No, not at all.
Um I, I'm
That's it. That's
looking to
actually a
take
really good first one.
yeah, I'm super happy with her, and she's pushing about 400 grams right now. She had a little bit of a food hesitation at about 2 or 300. Um, so we got her back going again though. So she's on her way. But man, I'm huge on allelic stuff. Like, I love the allelic project. So anything that I have that I'm working recessives, I want to get an allelic combo into it. Don't want to make normals. I think that's a general consensus across most
Oh
breeders,
yeah,
you
I
know?
100% agree with you. I'm trying to get either yellow belly or the like Enchi cinnamon and Enchi black pastel into like everything that I'm working for the same reason. Just try to get those allelics going. Start
Exactly.
start
So,
working, freeway and campfire and everything I can in every one of my projects.
yep. So, unfortunately, the only real option I have with her combination for allelic projects is that spider complex with the spot nose. So I'm looking to take it to something along those lines. Whether it be Cypress or Blackhead or Wookie or something along those lines is where I would like to get it into. Um, I just have to
Cypress though
make.
would be really nice because you brighten up that Axanthic really good. I think that's a good route to go with it.
Yep, I'm actually waiting on a clutch to drop right now. She just ovulated a couple weeks ago. It's a pastel VPI pied male to a Cypress Mojave het Axanthic female. So that should really kickstart that side of the project. Now I know that everybody's, slacking on the spot nose pieds. I definitely think that it is a combo that I like.
Well,
I
the
just need
spot
to.
nose pied is like the spider pied where they're all white, aren't they?
Yep. There is some ways that you can bring a little bit of combo or pattern back into it. I've seen Brian Carter with BC Balls and Reptilia. I believe it was last year. Posted up on Morph Market. I saw it was a spot nose leopard pied, I believe. And it had a little bit more pattern. So I'm just wondering, and I want to play around with it a little bit to see if you kind of gene stack it a little bit, if you get a little bit more pattern back. And then even with the Cypress, I've only seen a few Cypress pieds. But I mean, I haven't seen many high white Cypress pieds. So I'm hoping that maybe that'll help a little bit too. So
Yeah, I
we'll
don't think I've
see.
seen a Cypress pied at all in person, so I'm not sure how that would turn out.
Yeah, so I mean, and it's at the end of the day, man. I'm huge on. I want to work projects that I want to work. I don't like chasing projects necessarily.
No,
Don't get me
100% agree.
wrong. I'll take influence from everybody else as well. Like, for instance, I just hatched out a double het mahogany fire clown pie. Like, I saw mahogany fire last year, wanted to incorporate it, and
Oh,
put
you
my
actually have the double visual?
double het.
Double head. Okay.
Yeah. But I was looking on Morph Market for something like that, and you just can't find some stuff. And
No, not at
I mean,
all.
you get to certain projects that you want to work in, it's to a point where you're just like, well, I got to do it myself. So, that's where I'm at with the Cypress. I found this Cypress Mojave head Axanthic, got her in, and got her going right away. So, luckily she was about 1,300 grams when I got her, so I didn't have to do much after a quarantine to get her ready to go. Um, and now, like I said, just waiting on some eggs from her. That'd be pretty nice. I don't know if I want to keep Mojave in that with the distortion and the pieds, but we'll see what I hit, I suppose.
Good deal. Yeah, the only thing I'm really working, honestly, Xanthic, and it is VPI line, is this year I'm shooting to make a lot of triples for the True Ghost Clown stuff. I'm a really big fan of the True Ghost project. I think it's really underrated and really gets overshadowed by the DG Xanthic. But,
Yeah, I was actually talking with Jason Amos today about a couple Xanthic projects just because he's got the stranger Xanthic stuff and some stranger lavender Xanthic stuff that he's working I believe there's pied floating around in that as well. But I'm taking this same male that's going to that Cypress Mojave head Axanthic to a hypo female, to a genetic stripe female, and to a desert ghost female.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to have triple visual or triple het females, kind of set aside for when I can get that gene packed male, here in the
Just
next couple
building that
years.
multi-head army.
Yep. So essentially, I would like to have the triple hets and then take, if I can get lucky enough this year to get a Cypress Axanthic het pied, I'll take that to my fire leopard Axanthic pied to try and get the double visual with the Cypress in there. And then that one, obviously, the triple hets.
Yeah, those are gonna be nice.
Yeah, I'm super excited, man.
In that combo, right?
Yeah, so it'll be and that's why I'm hesitant on the Mojave. Just because you wouldn't
Don't want
see
to wash
much.
it out too much.
Yep. Mojave pied, it just kind of lose your pattern, or you lose your pattern in the pattern, if that makes sense. You just kind of have.
It does work with the Axanthic though, as far as like the coloration. Having seen a couple of the Axanthic Mojave pies, those do look good.
Yeah,
but,
so it's just a matter of, I guess, what I hit this year. And then obviously everything's got to go right, in order to get a male going in a year. So
and that's everything. You always got to be adapting to whatever you're hitting. You said though that like the Axanthic G stripe stuff. That's I'm a big fan of G stripe, and I think it's really underrated. So I think it's neat that you're going that way. Going to kind of shift gears here a little bit on the topic, but what do you think, or what are some like different approaches to Axanthic that you would either like to play with here in the near future or would like to see as far as the industry go? Just because like everyone from what I've seen tends to seem to go, let's just get as white or as silver as we can with it. So like, you have any other trends that you'd like to either try to get started in the next couple of years or would hope to see get started with the Axanthic project in the community?
Yeah, so I think that the True Ghost project is super slept on. I would like to see some like
Agreed.
True Ghost clowns, True Ghost G stripes. There is one that I have seen. White feather balls, I believe has one. Yeah,
I've seen
and
that
it's
one, and I recently saw a. I want to say it was this might be the same one. I think it was like a True Ghost lesser G stripe or something like that. It wasn't just a straight True Ghost G stripe, but yeah, that thing was awesome looking.
Yeah,
it was like almost like a snow white with a really powdered stripe down its back.
Yeah, and I think that the tri-stripe version of it would look cleaner, but like we talked about before we got recording, the tri-stripe clowns, like it's just not as good as that Kiki project to me. So I would like to see like an Axanthic Kiki as well. I think that'd be pretty nice.
Yeah.
So
I think one of those has been made, isn't it?
I haven't personally seen it if it has, so I don't know on that one. I might have to do a little research.
Yeah, I could be imagining it, but that's one of the ones that I think I've seen at some point in time. I know I've seen an albino Kiki because what was it? American Made Exotics made that one. I might be wrong on the Axanthic. I'll have to look that one up afterwards.
Yeah, I got a bunch of Kiki stuff working in growing up right now. I'm hoping to hit a Desert Ghost genetic stripe to throw into that kind of projects and stuff this year as well. So that would be nice. But I'm just so heavy into the recessives, and I was talking with Jason about it earlier today. It's just like I kind of slept on the whole codom side of everything for my first couple years and just focused recessive. Well, now that I have the recessives that I need, in breeding, now it's like, well, now the whole market is switched to the double and triples and everything like that. So
right now you got to try to work everything back into it.
Exactly. Like I produced some amazing mahogany pieds last year, and back when I was looking into making those, they were selling $1,000 for a female, and now, I mean, I realistically wouldn't even probably sell a female for cash just because I wouldn't feel like it was worth it to me. So
that's just how the industry works, though.
Yeah, for sure.
And start looking at different things, start making things that nobody else is making. Like,
exactly.
How do you feel with the Axanthic stuff about mixing in genes like Ultramel or Banana and start going to push more of those like bronzes and goldish colors instead of the silver? Because I've seen the Banana Axanthic G stripe that 403 Fauna, I think it was, put out, and that thing looked really cool to me. That's like a whole new color palette that I think that whole project can go. Obviously, not just VPI because all the Axanthics can go that route. But
Yeah.
um, like, what do you feel about that type of stuff? 'Cause I kind of personally think that that's another untapped or slept on aspect of Axanthic to shift into those other kind of metallic-y colors with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, even yeah, like any kind of albinism genes with Xanthic, I think hasn't been really played with much. You know, you look at the lavender snows, or like you were saying with the Ultramel or Monarch, or any of those kind of genes that you kind of shift that color palette of an Xanthic rather than from the black and white to, like you were saying, the browns and the yellows and the golds. Um, I I'm a fan of the Ultramel Xanthic that I've seen. Um, with Ultramil being so closely related to Monarch, I would assume that I would like that snake as well. I don't have Ultramil in my collection. I have a Monarch female, but I mean she's only 300 grams right now, so I mean I'm a little ways away on stuff like that, and I think that in order for those combos to be made, I feel like people are gonna have to either run into a dead end on something else or kind of try to, kind of like we're saying, where we're doing our own stuff for it. I don't think they're gonna be pushed super heavy. But I do think they're slept on. I 100% think they're slept on. It's a super clean combo, and it's like we were saying, it's a completely different color palette than what most people are used to when they see Xanthic or think of Xanthic. That is.
Yeah, because I'm working banana into the True Ghost stuff as well. Like I was talking about the triple heads I'm trying to make this year is from a banana black pastel hypo clown to a double head clown Xanthic. So trying to go that
Yeah,
route, and
those
also
would be
going to try to
super
work
cool.
my the Trojan clown into the same project next year to try to get Trojan into the Xanthic clown stuff. See how that turns out. Whether that maintains those yellows or not in it. Since some people think it's similar to Ultramel as it ages.
Yeah, I saw a Super Trojan that looked really similar to like an Ultramel. It was super cool because just could have that kind of potential in a co-dominant gene as well. But that's where it comes back to, getting into the certain codoms. I feel like a lot of these codoms, like if you don't get into them right away, it's like you kind of got to catch them on the downfall a little bit and just hope that you can get enough of it produced quick.
Right.
I'm into Hurricane and then like we were talking Cypress and stuff, but not as many as I would like to be, unfortunately.
So overall, as Xanthic, shifting away from what you'd like to see done with it, where do you think, and this might seem like kind of an odd question, where do you think it fits into the hobby? Do you think it's more of the like a high-end breeder type thing, or something that aims more towards the pet market, since it definitely does pass that grandma test? People talk about that thing that really stands out. Do you think it's more newer people coming into the hobby that really get drawn to the Xanthics, or do you think that it's more of a breeder focused genetic?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the with making the Xanthic that I made last year, I brought her to a couple local shows, and every single person that walked past the table, it was an eye catcher. It is very much a grabbing morph, and a grabbing gene that that attracts, just because when you remove all that color it kind of stands out.
Right.
I think that over the next few years I would like to see it worked into a lot more of the recessive stuff, which then I think personally will drop it down in value. I think what is going to keep Xanthic heavy though is the fact that it's not all necessarily the same. So you have your TSKs and your black Xanthics and your VPIs and stuff, and I think that it's going to be kind of similar to an albino and a lavender. I think one of them is going to kind of always have the upper hand once it gets to that pet quality snake. And it's just a matter of, I guess, seeing where the market is going to kind of put itself. Because at the end of the day, whether one person is selling a snake for a certain amount doesn't mean somebody else is going to sell it for that as well. So it's all about just where the market kind of settles with it. But I don't know where that would be exactly. I think it'll keep a little bit more value to it than most. I don't think it'll
Definitely more than
drop.
like albino or something like that, because there's more
Yeah,
you can do with
yeah.
it.
I would honestly, the only thing with Pied, the only reason I think Pied is dropping so much is because it's so hard to combine with certain stuff.
I don't know if it says so hard. It's hard to ID stuff in pied, and that's my biggest issue. Like I've seen a lot of pieds where, like, and talk to people that breed pieds that like sometimes they just don't even know what's in it, so it just gets sold as a normal pied,
Yeah,
and someone breeds it
exactly.
later and find out it's got these three of their genes in it.
Yeah,
But
and that was my really tough problem with it right now is, I got into the hobby right away and I was drawn to pieds in the hobby. So I had I produced 3 clutches of pieds last year and had a hard time getting to that point where I was like, man, like these are not wanting to move as easy as I thought they were going to.
right.
So um I got my holdbacks out of it that I wanted. But I definitely learned a lesson from that. Like I being a smaller collection, I'm sitting right around 100 snakes. So I guess depending on who's listening, that may be a little bit bigger than a smaller collection,
You
but
got a quite a bit bigger collection than I do. You're about double my size, so in
but
terms of breeder too.
yeah. So I mean, but it's I definitely learned that lesson. Don't overproduce the same snake. You can only sell so many of the same ones. So that was
Right,
one
you
that
saturate yourself then.
exactly. So I'm sitting about 16 ish holdbacks or pickups from this last season. And I'm hoping that I can hit about 40 this year. So
How many of those are Axanthic projects?
Axanthic projects, quite
Yeah.
a few. Actual Axanthics, only one, I believe, the one that I made. But I am taking a lot more of them. Like I was talking about the Kiki project, I want to get that into Axanthic. So I got a couple. I got a double hat Kiki from Erie. I picked it up when I was back home. So a lot of those projects, once I get that double visual or triple visual, it'll end up incorporating itself back in. So I got a Mojave triple het DG clown pied 50% het hypo that I'll probably take to an Axanthic when I hit that, too. So it's just I'm gonna have a lot of Axanthics this year, like a lot. So I paired my pastel VPI pied, I think, to 5 or 6 females. So I'm gonna have a lot of hets holdbacks for the Axanthic project, and I'm super excited to see where it goes, especially with, all the buzz around it right now with the TSK and Black Axanthic. So I think it's just gonna bring more people into it.
So hot seat question then, because you said one of them is probably going to come out on top. What one do you think is going to drop the fastest, and what one do you think is going to survive the storm on that and wind up being the cream of the crop Axanthic to get?
See, that's tough because you don't see as much of like the GCR line or anything like that. And I know we haven't touched on that much,
Right.
just because I don't have any of that. I know that a lot
Neither
of
do
people
I.
are
I don't
working with
honestly
it.
know anybody personally that does. So
I think a lot of it is still up in Canada, I believe. I know Justin Kaboka has some, but I
I
think
know
that
Derek
one.
Demire is working with it too, because I think he just hit the what was it, the GCR Clown Pie?
I
Am I right about
believe
that?
so. I believe so. Yeah. I think that one is gonna kind of hold its value more, honestly, just because it is so kind of hard to get into. So if any of them is gonna hold, keep that top side, I think that'll be it. Just because, man, you look one way, you look the other, you find somebody working TSK and VPI. So it's
Yeah.
it's it's just a gene that I hope holds around for a little while. I hope it doesn't fall too fast.
I
But
don't see it going anywhere. I think it's going to be there.
no,
I
I
don't
don't
think it's
see.
like
I
I
don't
said,
see.
like
No,
albino
I
where it
don't
goes,
see it dropping.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
but you know what I mean. Like, I mean, because I mean, these snakes they take a while to raise up. You had some triple hets out, and then you're at least 2 to 3 years before you're able to get that female going. So,
right.
the market can do a whole shift in 2 or 3 years
Yep.
completely. So you just got to
And
set
we've seen
yourself
it just
up.
in the last 3 years. It went from best it's ever been to worst it's ever been and recovering just in 2 to 3 years. So
That exactly, and you never know. So you just have to base yourself. And I tell people this all the time. I'm like, if you are, and this is just, I guess, for me personally, in my opinion, like I am every pairing that I have going, I know that I want to hold something back from that pairing. I don't have pairings that I'm just doing to sell. I'm not doing that anymore. I did that last year and it kind of bit me a little bit. So
exactly the same thing. That's my philosophy moving forward too. Everything I'm doing is shooting for holdbacks. I'm the number one customer.
exactly. It even if I hit something that I didn't expect to hit, it's something that I don't got to spend my money on. So that's even better if
Right.
I don't got to open up my pocketbook for it.
All right, man. So last question on the Xanthics then. Is this a gene that you think everybody should have in their collection to some extent in terms of breeding? Or do you think it's something that should be more specialized?
Well, that's a good one. I think that I definitely think it should be something that everybody has. Um, to what extent, I guess, kind of just depends on the likability of it. But I think everybody should have it just to have that that way out, kind of, like not necessarily like a way out of a project, but like if you need to kind of flip the color palette. So if you see something you're like, oh man, that would look super cool with it, well, have that option that you can go to. um I mean, man, you can get an Axanthic, just by itself, and make some hets with her, and then take a mail back to her, and there's your project. So
Right.
I would say I think everybody should have at least one.
Just kind of keep
um
that diversification option in there.
exactly. And because when I was getting into the hobby, I had everybody telling me, stick to your three projects, stick to your three genes. And I'm like, man, I'm trying to work three recessive projects in the same snake, like, you know what I
Dude, I
mean?
wish I had someone tell me that. When I got in, I did that whole Noah's Ark thing. I wanted Pieds, Clowns, Ultramelts, Xanthics, Albinos. That was all over the place. So,
Man, I have a bunch of recessives right now. But every snake that I have has a plan, every single one. So, I have the tri-stripe, the G-stripe, the clown, the Krypton, Xanthic, Monarch. I have all that stuff working. Um, but like I said, it's a lot of those that I'm probably only gonna have one or two snakes for each of those, and then I'm gonna have my projects that I kind of work into those and just see
right.
what I can get out of it. So that's the plan. Keep the money in the males and hold the females back.
Same thing I'm doing. I'm completely revamping my collection. I'm doing it through the males. I'm just using the females I have to make the double and triple heads and everything else. So,
Exactly, man. You pick up a good male and breed it to a normal, even. You got some double heads you can hold back. So, or double or triple heads, I guess.
right. But all right, man. You want to let people know where they can find you? Any shows you're going to be at, or what your social medias are, stuff like that. Anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, for sure. So like I said, I'm Zeus's Serpents on Instagram. It's a little funky on spelling it, but if you find me on Facebook, it comes up pretty easy. And then if you just want to add me on Facebook, I'm friends with quite a few people. You probably can find mutual friends with me, but it's Zachary Spittler. Oh, it kicks me right there too, huh?
Yeah.
It's Zachary Spittler. And then on Facebook, it's Zach Spittler. But yeah, man, Facebook, Instagram, Morph Market, I'm on all those. I haven't got into TikTok yet. Military background, I guess they shied away from it, so
Yeah, I
that's
remember they told
about
us
it.
we weren't allowed to use it either because all the clearance stuff. They were
Yep.
very adamant that if we were found with TikTok, we were in deep shit. So
Yeah, exactly. So it just kind of shied away from that for right now. Maybe I'll get into it. I mean, I'm the first one to criticize myself. I don't post as much as I should on social media as well.
you and me both,
But I
brother. You and
mean,
me both.
if anybody reaches out to me, man, I promise I'll get back to you. Like, especially if it's a DM. So if anybody's got any questions about anything I'm working right now, yeah, hit me up on Instagram or Facebook for sure, and I'll get back with you.
All right, man. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk to me on this one, man.
Yeah, awesome, man. I appreciate you the invite. I had a good time. I can't wait to see what you get going in the next couple years.
Hey, same to you.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Once again, I want to say thank you to Zach for joining me and actually being the first person to come on this, what is hopefully going to be an ongoing series of conversations with other breeders about genes that they're working with that they want to champion. So, that said, if you want to join me, if you want to have a conversation about a gene that you're working, don't care if you're a big breeder, small breeder, whatever. If you're somebody just starting out, wants to get your name out there, reach out to me. Let me know what gene you want to champion, and let's get together at some point in time and have a conversation. Until then, let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think about the Axanthic project? Are you working it? What would you like to see done with it? And really just share your thoughts about it as a whole. Other than that, thank you for joining us. I'll see you next time.